What is going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. Um, I'm coming to you from, I don't know if we've used this one or not, but I'm coming to you from Hollywood Video Studios tonight.
Oh yeah, we have. We have.
Okay. Then
But still a
I'm
good choice.
gonna
Still a
switch
good
it up.
choice.
No. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna switch it up. Show you how old I am, right? Because the old man just turned 50 this year. I'm coming to you from the Stop and Go VHS video rental section.
That's actually pretty funny because my coming to you was going to be from Stop and Go.
There you go.
I already had it marked off. So there you go.
Perfect. Okay, so it is Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. Obviously, we've got a lot going on. Things.
Hold on. Let me fix this real quick. I don't like you being on that other side.
And I'm good with that. Things are, moving along. We're getting closer and closer. Right. Everybody blame me. That's fine.
Sorry, Jackie. Old man had technical issues, so
yes. And we should probably talk about what the technical issue is.
Apparently, your freaking cat is a computer hacker. So
somehow the six-toed monstrosity that is Biggie Paws, aka Two Paws or Tupac, somehow figured out how to mute my microphone on a system level, not just in Restream for our broadcasting software, but on my computer as a whole. So
and not just hit the unmute button on the keyboard. Like you had to go into the system and find it and fix it.
Yes, and actually change settings.
Yeah.
So this guy, I'm telling you, man, he's a freaking hacker. Keep your identity hidden, because I'm sure he's going to steal it and sell it to the Libyans or something like that. So you don't want none of that. That guy's crazy, man. But anyways, yeah. So lots going on, lots of stuff for us to talk about. I'm going to start sharing the video while we're talking here. But while I do that, BD, I wanted to pose a question. Okay. As training camp is getting started and as we're starting to kind of see, who the superstars are going to be this year or who's returning as a superstar and merging, we need to start thinking about draft prospects, right? For our fantasy football, because obviously everybody starts doing this. We also talked about how the game is changing. So I want to pose a question to you. Okay. Is it more important at this point, with all the changes that have happened in the game that we've been talking about and tracking, is it more important at this time to draft a higher round or in the higher rounds, a running back, or is it more important to go for a wide receiver or a tight end?
I think unless the tight end's name is, and not even anymore, but Travis Kelce, yeah, you're not picking him early. But even Kelce, it kind of fell off last year. He's getting up there. So I don't even think he would be a top, even 3-round pick.
And remember, we talked about how the game has changed and how the running back has now become more the tight end position.
Right? Yeah,
the tight end is more a physical blocker.
I still, unless your name's like Saquon Barkley or Bijan Robinson, you're still kind of pushed to the back. Those two guys, those are your top 5 picks. Other than that, I mean, you're gonna have to draft wide receivers. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Kind of the Justin Jefferson, the big name guys. It's still going to be pretty wide receiver heavy in your first round picks. And Jesse, no, he is not. I mean, I think his feelings may be a little hurt, just after all the back and forth, but physically, no.
It's all just hurt feelings.
Just hurt feelings.
Fair enough. So chat goes to the question goes to the chat also. As you guys are chiming in and interacting and everything like that, question goes to you. Which is more important in the first couple of rounds of your fantasy football draft? Do you go for a killer running back or do you go for a killer wide receiver? Right? Who's going to be making the more points this year? So you guys think about it. You let us know. So BD, preseason is almost upon us, right?
2 days away.
3 days away from the official first game of preseason. But
Thursday.
Oh, that's right. It's Thursday.
Yes,
I don't
Thursday.
know why I was thinking Friday.
Which, funny thing, I saw something on the Book of Faces today that Trey Lance is going to be starting for the Chargers in the first preseason game, which is the first time that I've heard that Trey Lance was a Charger.
Oh,
I knew the Cowboys weren't going to re-sign him, but I hadn't heard that he'd gone to any other team until I saw that he was starting for the Chargers.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Isn't that an interesting way to find out?
Right? Yeah, he's starting in the Hall of Fame game, so.
Well, I mean, you got to find out somehow, some way, right?
I mean, that's as close to the Hall of Fame as he's going to get, so good for him.
Wow. Shots fired, bro. That's messed up, dude.
I like that. That was a good one. I got to give myself props for that one, actually.
Of course. So what how are things going in Dallas? Right?
It depends on who you're talking to. I mean, you talk to Micah Parsons, he's not real happy, presumably he wants a contract. He hasn't gotten a contract, and unless this is just some kind of backroom deal that Jerry's told Micah, hey, let's make this good for the media. Let's just keep our names in the media every day. I got you. We'll sign a contract, the last day of training camp or whatever, just as long as we're relevant. They're dragging it off for some reason. So, but Cowboys did sign, and my mind just went blank, but Fredericks, the tight end that the Cowboys had, a really good tight end, signed him for a extension. So, which again, hey, what's up, Havo? Michael Parsons is probably like, hey, what the hell, So that's it. Unless it's something going on in the back, I'm sure Parsons is pretty frustrated that he doesn't have a deal yet. But everybody knows he's going to get paid. So it's not if, it's when. The biggest thing that's actually come out of training camp recently is injuries for the Cowboys. Guyton, Tyler Guyton got hurt yesterday, and when the news first broke, it was feared that it was a ACL sprain. Or injured ACL, whatever, that he was going to be done for the year. Turns out it wasn't that. His ACL, PCL, MCL, all the CLs were intact, but he is going to be down for probably 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe back for the season opener, maybe not. Maybe week 2, week 3, or something. So that's good. Obviously, offensive line is kind of a big issue for the Cowboys. It was last year. Especially with Martin retiring. And then today, Cowboys, one of the injuries to cornerback. I missed the guy's name. Hold on. Kalen Carson. He got injured. He's going to be out for a little while too. And Cowboys are pretty shy or pretty short on depth for their cornerbacks. Diggs is still recovering. He's going to miss the first part of the season. We kind of only have 2 right now that are healthy. So that's going to be interesting because first few weeks of the season, we're playing against some pretty good wide receivers. So our secondary is going to get tested for sure. And this is not the time to have secondary players injured.
Very true. Um, so over on my side of the world, in the Green Bay world, and P.S. I'm waiting to get some updates from our brother Rig Rocker over in Houston to see how training camp is going over there, just so I can get, you know, fresh eyes that I trust on it, not like, you know, the national media. But over in Green Bay land, the biggest news right now seems to be the connection that is starting to develop between Jordan Love and Mr. Golden. I can never remember his first name, but that star wide receiver out of Texas. They apparently had another humongous play today. And, you know, we're talking, you know, like a 60, 70-yard pass play and, you know, just highlight reel type material. So Golden is quickly starting to push himself towards the front of the pack, maybe even might be getting the start as wide receiver number one, right? Which, I mean, it would not be a horrible idea for the young man. He is a rookie, though. He's going to be a little bit tight, right? Things are going to be a little bit tough. So I'm not sure exactly how I feel about putting him, you know, straight into the fire like that. But if nobody else is stepping up, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. I mean, hey,
You know?
like I said, if nobody's going to do it, I mean, take advantage of his opportunity.
Yeah. And it sounds like he's trying to do everything he can to make sure that that does happen. There's you know, some pretty decent competition. I wouldn't go so far as to say, you know, pretty tough competition in Green Bay, because we still don't know how like Christian Watson is doing, or Romeo Dobbs, or any of the other guys, along with some of the other signings that we've made, right? But we do know that God dang it, I wish I could remember his first name. Anyways, we do know that Golden is truly being golden in Green Bay and is standing out, you know, amongst all of his peers. So that's something to kind of look forward to for us in Green Bay. Outside
Matthew
of that,
Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden. Okay. Outside of that, our defense looks to be a little bit better, but not necessarily stellar, right? Losing God dang it. I swear I must have gotten a concussion this week.
I know who you're talking about, but my mind's blank too.
Yeah.
That guy.
I almost said losing KGB. KGB was a huge defensive player. He was a secondary back in the 90s and 2000s.
But he was another guy that had three names, so.
Yeah. And I'll think of it when I'm not paying attention, and then I'm going to feel really stupid. And it's okay. But anyways, losing that key element in the defense is turning out to be a very big deal. And I don't know that I'm seeing any of the Band-Aid moves that were done that are going to make any kind of a difference. So I really think our defense is going to be pretty suspect. That's going to be the weakest part of our game, which you don't really want your defense being the weakest part of the game.
No.
Because that's when you get 20, 30 points run up on you, no problem. And if you don't have the offense that can respond, which I think we're going to have a pretty good offense. I don't know that we're going to have that great of an offense. This is probably going to be another tough year for Green Bay fans. So until I see something, you know, kind of more solid and concrete, otherwise, I don't know that I'm expecting very much from this season, to be honest. So, and I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But I just have a feeling that, you know, we haven't done enough to make up for what we've been lacking for so long. And I think it's really going to wind up biting us. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, again, we are waiting to hear from Rig to see kind of how things are going in Houston. I've not seen any news that has necessarily caught my attention. So, you know, maybe things are progressing kind of as normal as expected in Houston. And so if it's going as expected, it's not really newsworthy, right? So I'm kind of hopeful for that. Outside of that, what do we have to look forward to this Thursday for that Hall of Fame game?
Man, I don't. Trey Lance, I guess, if you want to say that. Man, I forget who who the Chargers are playing. Uh, shoot, I should probably look that up, right?
Probably. And I would have it pulled up, but I mean, I'm still trying to share to about 25 other pages. We got to get that part figured out one of these days, or have somebody do it.
Detroit is okay. The Lions and the Chargers. That's who's playing.
Okay. Third string practice squad guys. It should be an interesting game. None of the starters. I would expect none of the starters to start.
No, and I mean it's just all this. It's an extra game, but really the game isn't what's important. It's the rest of the weekend. I mean, it's the Hall of Fame class that's coming in, which this is actually a pretty good one. Obviously, they're the reason that the Chargers are playing is because they've got one of their players being enshrined. That's Antonio Gates. And you got Eric Allen, Jared Allen, and Sterling Sharp. Those are the four members who are getting inducted.
Okay. Sterling, 100% looking forward to that. Obviously I'm a little biased. He's a Green Bay guy. But he was always just a phenomenal player on and off the field.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely worth it. I'm excited to see how he shows up, right? Because he was always kind of playing in the shadow, if you will, of his brother. He was the less loud and outspoken one. He's just kind of takes care of it on the field.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely interested to see how that Hall of Fame speech is going to go for him. So, but very excited for him for sure.
Yeah.
Now, with that going on, we probably should talk about, and this is coming from the XFL Mike G and the Alternative Football Network. We probably need to talk about all the players that have now officially signed some kind of a contract with the NFL.
So I've got the updated list. I actually just pulled it up from the UFL site. So there's 107. 74 players have had 107 workouts with NFL teams, and currently now 26 have signed contracts with NFL teams. And there's been a bunch within the last few days.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, there's within the last since Sunday, there's been 9 players who have been signed to NFL teams.
Oh, look, and thanks XFL Mike G for clarification. That's via Viking Wax Press, who compiled that list. So we want to make sure we give a shout out to him as well. So you said that was how many?
9 within the last 3 days.
Okay, 9 players within the last 3 days.
And some of those kind of the big name players, you got Jacob Sailors from St. Louis, running back. He went to he signed with Detroit. Tua Tao, the bowling ball for Michigan, went to Cleveland. Deion Kane, wide receiver for Birmingham, went to Buffalo. Stephen Gilmore, cornerback, went from Birmingham to Arizona. And they said that's Nick Whiteside, cornerback. He was St. Louis. He went to Detroit. There's been like I said, quite a bit of movement. I mean, 26 players signed contracts on training camp rosters, and we'll see how many shake out for the regular season. But even that's it's a hell of a thing to do. And I don't know if you saw. Did you see Dan Campbell? What his comments were?
No.
So he came out a few days ago, and basically he was saying, hey, I think it would be a great idea for the NFL to use the UFL as their official farm system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
I mean,
important.
like Detroit, they've gotten a lot of stuff from a lot of players from the UFL. Jake Bates, they signed. I was just looking at the list. Probably 3-4 players. Looks like just 2 that they signed, but still, a couple of training camp players are from the UFL. Obviously, Jake Bates. So they have experience with looking at the UFL, but for a coach of an NFL team to say that, that's real promising for the league and kind of the way the league is looked on by the NFL.
Well, here, let me share my screen, and we can actually break this down a little bit better. So here's the list again via Viking Wax Press of all the teams and all the players that have signed and where they're going or what their status is. You notice the ones in green are on the active roster. The ones in yellow are the ones that have a tryout with an NFL team, maybe even multiple NFL teams. But you can see right here, everybody minus St. Louis, everybody's put at least 5 players into the NFL in some way, shape, or form. Now, it's not to say anything bad against St. Louis or anything like that. They just didn't have as many players that really kind of stood out. Like this cat right here, Rodrigo Blankenship, who has his own cult following in St. Louis now. I don't know why he's at tryout status. Somebody needs to sign this cat.
Yeah. And I think that's even not even updated for today because, like I said, Jacob Saylor's actually signed with the team, so he should be on that list. Okay. Whiteside's got signed, so I mean, like there was a lot of movement within the last couple of days.
Okay, this is from the 26th.
Yeah.
Let me unshare my screen. See if I'm sure that they've got something a little bit more recent, but anyways,
who knows? I mean, like I said, as much moving as they're going on, they'd be updating that thing every damn day.
Yeah,
so
that just goes to show you there's that much action going on.
Exactly. It was the flurry. I saw, like I said, a ton of updates coming through, and it was like, Jesus, man, just a whole bunch, like just this player signed, this player signed, this player signed. So that's just been in the last couple of days.
Yeah, it is just insane. I mean, they even have a UFL to NFL page, Sailors, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, RJ Mosley from Michigan. Michigan's had a pretty good amount of players. San Antonio, of course. Corbin to Atlanta, which I'm sad about that. I was hoping that he would go to a pretty decent team. And then Sykes went to Philly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Rick is right. Blankenship is an insanely good kicker. Maybe, he's had a chance.
And I don't know what happened with it when he was with the Colts. I don't know if he got injured or if he got the yips. And I have no idea. Like I said, I kind of knew him back when he was in the SEC and stuff, and when he got drafted by the Colts, and then he just wasn't on the team anymore. So I'd never really cared that much to look into why, but dude was money for St. Louis, so he absolutely deserves another shot in the NFL.
So interesting, and maybe this is something that I need to look into for future fuel for us to talk about. But I'm noticing this year there was one kicker and one quarterback that have been signed. Is that the status quo? Are those traditionally positions that they don't necessarily need anybody for? because I would think like offensive linemen, defensive linemen, things like that. There's a higher need for those.
Yeah.
As your starters and stuff go down, and the second and third string have to step up, then you need another like the practice squad string to step up to be the third string just in case. But is that traditional that the quarterback position just doesn't really kind of step up?
I mean, really, I mean, how you had you had Magoo from Birmingham that went to the Packers and had to convert to a wide receiver just to make it onto the practice squad.
Yeah.
You had who was the Birmingham quarterback last year? Not the last year, the one before. Adrian Martinez, right?
Yeah.
And he went to the Jets, but he was third string. I mean, have there been any other quarterbacks? You got Wynn that signed to the Rams this year. Now,
PJ.
Who?
PJ out of Houston.
PJ. Did he?
Or not PJ. What's his name? The one that I'm sorry. I was thinking Birmingham, and I can't remember that cat's name. The one that the fans were screaming for.
Jamar.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. There you go.
Jamar Smith. No,
Smith.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is the wide receiver.
Right. But other than that, and even then, I don't know if he's gone back up to the NFL.
I don't think he was on the on an NFL team. If he was third string, whatever. Yeah. But
but
the kickers, like I said, I've said this before. The kickers, I understand the long snappers, the special teams players, the returners, like those skills translate very well from spring league football to NFL. It's a much harder time for the skill positions, the wide receivers and stuff to make that transition. As we've seen, there really haven't been a whole lot of players that have made it from those positions. So hopefully, I've said we got 26 signed, probably more to come. Hopefully some of these players make it. Some of the skill positions, I mean, as much as I'd love to have Corbin back for San Antonio, I hope he makes it, as a strong position player for Atlanta. But it's those skill positions that historically we've seen there's still a skill gap. So as the league grows and it gets more players, the UFL grows, it gets more players, there's that gap is going to shrink, and we'll see more of those skill position players making it to NFL rosters. I am a little surprised we don't see more linemen, defenders, and stuff like that, like the linebackers, offensive line, defensive line, because you would think a lot of those skills would translate as well, but we haven't seen that as much either. So I'm interested to see how, as training camp progresses, how these players, if they stay on rosters, and how their movement is.
It looks like right now there's only like 4 offensive linemen and like 2 or 3 linebackers. Pretty much it looks like cornerbacks. Like I don't see any safeties on here or anything like that. Decent amount of cornerbacks. But yeah, there's not, you would think, like you said, right, that there would be more kind of linemen on that, on that.
Yeah, they're getting looks. So
right, just because of how injuries can happen, and I mean we saw it with us. Year 1 with the San Antonio Brahmas.
Year 1, year 3.
That's true. Year 3 was pretty bad also.
Yeah.
But you saw the need for linemen, and we couldn't buy one.
Yeah.
So it's got to be happening in the NFL also, But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty awesome list right there. I can't wait to see who actually makes a practice squad or even, an actual, active roster position, I would love to see one of them, be a starter. And I know like Stephen Gilmore, he was in the NFL for a decent amount
Yep.
of time.
And I think this is what his third or something trip back to the NFL. So
Yeah. So hopefully maybe this time it sticks. We'll see. But that being the case, I think I know we don't want to, but we probably need to talk about the wound that was opened last week, don't we? What do you think?
I mean, nothing's changed.
No, nothing has, but how many people have gotten fired up about it, and how many tempers have flared, and how many people have taken it as a personal insult?
I mean, you see it every day on
Mhm.
Facebook, and I'm getting a little annoyed by it, but
Yep.
I mean, I understand people
So,
in four cities are upset,
right,
and
real quick, yeah, let me preface that with what we're talking about is the news that we shared last week about the unofficial, news leak about, the USFL teams being shut down and being relocated to other cities. And so that's the wound that we were talking about opening. So go ahead, BD.
I mean, obviously, like anybody who's watching us probably knows the news, but if for some reason you don't, it was the news was the four USFL teams basically are all going to get moved. Hey Amanda, how you doing? And obviously those four UFL teams are pissed. The fans of them. I think Michigan has the biggest gripe because they were the only fan base that increased attendance last year.
Yep.
Birmingham, I mean, they want to say that they had 10,000 people a game, but they didn't. That was obviously, as we all know, they announced distributed tickets. There was maybe half that in the games. And I mean, Houston,
Yep.
Memphis, we saw how abysmal their attendance was. So even the announced attendance was terrible, and the actual was even worse. Mike, to your point, people are mad at the league for they're saying that these teams are failing because of the league. The biggest gripe you see is that the marketing for the league wasn't there. And to an extent, they have a point. Marketing's been a big issue that we've talked about a lot of, teams getting noticed, whatever. How much is the league putting out there for these teams to advertise? The problem with that is pretty much all the teams have the same marketing. It's how is your local team leadership handling that? How are they connecting with the community? We know here in San Antonio, our local team does a fantastic job of getting out in the community, going to events, being seen, doing advertising, stuff like that. If you're not seeing it in your city, that's not the fault of the UFL. That's the fault of your local team. They're not doing their jobs right. So that and again, every team is getting the same marketing. Is what is your team doing with it?
Yeah. I hate to, agree with BD on something like this. I'd love to be.
You should, because I'm always right. So
Well, you're not always right, but on this one, you're definitely right. This is not something that you can necessarily say is 100% the league's fault. It is, but it really kind of comes down to the local level.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I wish the league was pumping a whole lot more money into local marketings. I don't know how much they have. I have not asked that question of anybody that I know. If I did, I probably wouldn't be told. But at least I know that our team is doing the best they can with what they've gotten, and they've done a hell of a job. So every other UFL team should have that same opportunity.
Right. And I have to believe on a business standpoint, as far as tracking expenses and things like that, I have to believe that the UFL has an advertising budget for the UFL as a whole, right? And then each individual team probably has an allotment, maybe of that for their local advertising.
Yeah.
So, some, sorry, block. Um, some teams probably do better than others. Okay. Um, Obviously, San Antonio is doing an incredible job with little to no budget because of guys like James Carr. And we keep dropping his name like he's a celebrity because he kind of really is.
He
Right?
he
Let's be honest.
he is to us. So
Yes. Um, the things that he does is phenomenal. Now, the league should see that and try and emulate that in each market,
absolutely.
right? Make that part of the goal. That would help out tremendously, right? We've talked about how having a salesperson like James Carr or having that as your sales model would make a huge impact on each market. You've got a ticket rep who's doing more than just trying to go out there and sell tickets to you. He's selling the team. He's connecting you to a product on a meaningful level for you as a fan, offering the on-field experiences, the things that you wouldn't be able to get. He's selling each aspect of that to the fans, right? And giving them a product that they feel good about paying their money for. But I don't know that I see that from every other market. And so that has to go back to the individual teams.
It doesn't, but we hear that from a lot of our friends in other markets of, God, I wish our team did XYZ like you guys did. We hear it all the time. Even from St. Louis, even though they're the darlings of the UFL, we still hear a lot of their fans say, we wish our team did this stuff like you guys did. And I say team as far as not on the field. I mean, as far as like the ops team, the office and stuff like that.
Right. So here's the other thing though. And XFL Mike has already touched on it a little bit. And Rick, let me hit this comment real quick. I agree with you. I do hope that Michigan sticks around. I kind of hope all the teams stick around. Tie this back into XFL Mike G's comment. This is a leak, guys. We don't know if this is actually true or not. We've seen firsthand people inside the XFL leaking information to see who's going to squeal.
Yeah.
Right? And it was always false stories. We heard all kinds of stuff in last year's offseason. We don't report it because we don't really report on gossip and stuff. But we do know that the UFL does have a habit of trying to test for those leaks and seeing where they're coming from. So could this be a legitimate story that got leaked and now the UFL is like, oh crap, that really wasn't supposed to get out? Or is it gotcha, right? We don't know. Okay.
But I will say if it is a gotcha story, the UFL has done a piss poor job of deflecting the story. They've done absolutely nothing to distance themselves from anything. It's it's like it's poor political diversion is what they're doing. So if it is a false story that they're just trying to see who leaks, yeah, they suck at the deflecting, but they need to come out and whatever the case is, it's way past time for them to come out and say something legitimate. Not, oh, we're evaluating, blah, 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 whatever. Not the canned response that you've seen people post on Facebook that they're given to the ticket reps whenever they get emails about it. It's just the same thing, just copy pasted. But yeah. Like Brett said right here, no final moves have been made, and that's kind of what they've said. Like, we're unsure, we don't know, we're looking, we're evaluating. I mean, it's still it's a non-answer, you know. So even something, hey, we haven't made a decision, but we're evaluating all options. You know, something like that is even it's a possibility. It might not. We don't know yet. Instead
Right.
of the answer that they've given publicly.
Right. That would inspire a lot more a lot more belief and support in the league if they would just come out and make a stand rather than kind of like that whole oh my God, who farted in church kind of response, right? But talking about possibilities, another thing I wanted to kick around with you, there was a proposal from some fans in one of the groups that I kind of wanted to talk about. And that is, in a cost-saving measure to help out the UFL, it was proposed that UFL teams move to soccer stadiums, kind of like what DC has. Okay? What are your thoughts on that? Is that a good idea or a bad idea, and why?
You know, I don't think it's a there's it's not an across the board answer. It works in DC. DC Audi Field is a great stadium. It holds 18,000, I think, is the max. Here in San Antonio, we've got Toyota Field, holds 8,000. So let's say we play Toyota Field. They want to move to Toyota Field. You're sacrificing about 2,000 to 3,000 attendance. Now, optics wise, a full 8,000 stadium probably looks a lot better on TV than a half full Alamo Dome, just because you've got, you know, butts and seats. It looks full, but you're still sacrificing 2,000 to 3,000 in attendance for optics.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the other stadiums look like, or what, you know, what soccer fields are like on the other ones. But I'd say it works for DC. I don't think it would work for San Antonio. I think it would suck. And my God, dude, could you imagine a freaking football game in San Antonio in late May, June outside? I mean, it you know, Birmingham, Memphis, Houston, absolutely murder. I'm fat. I don't do well in heat. So,
yeah.
You know.
So
I would have to bring my own little like pop-up structure right over my seat with like misting fans and stuff like that. So
so that heat with the fans across the board is going to be a problem. And
you know, like down here to Rick's comment, and there's a lot of, you know, XFLMIG made it, a lot of other people made the comment. You've got conflicts, scheduling conflicts. That's why St. Louis was going to hold the conference championship game regardless whether DC was 1 or 2, because DC had a soccer stadium that had the soccer team take priority, whatever event they had going on, that DC wasn't able to use that field. If, you know, we saw it in Memphis Michigan 2 years in a row. There was something at Ford Field, so they couldn't host it if they were the number one seed.
Yes.
So,
well,
it's not a soccer stadium thing, you know, only. So, like I said, Michigan had that as well. So it's, if you're going to move, find some place that is not going to have an event the first few weeks of June. That way, if your team makes the number 1 seed, they can actually host a playoff game in their home stadium like it should be.
Right.
And Brett, you know what? Obviously, we came from the XFL side that started the week after the Super Bowl. We were, you know, AAF fans that started the week after the Super Bowl. We have been preaching this for as long as the UFL's been around. Hated that the USFL started when they did. Hated that the UFL took that schedule and started when they did. They need to start maybe you don't want to start the week after Super Bowl, start the second week. But the season needs to start in February and end in towards the end of May. First week of June at the absolute latest.
Yes. So some other things to think about here. Ford Field is super expensive to rent. Okay. I don't know how they're getting it for anything less than, several, probably like, 30,000, maybe more, who knows. Right. And I'm just throwing out numbers because I really don't know. But a soccer stadium would be cheaper. However, you have the weather issues like you talked about. You also have the fact that soccer teams don't really like sharing with football teams.
Yeah,
because
right here.
It's right. XFL brought it up. Brett brought it up as well. The equipment, the game itself is much rougher on the field. So we get out there, we tear it up. They don't have a perfectly smooth pitch like they're looking for. Pitch is another name for a field that they call it in the soccer world. I've got 2 kids in soccer, so unfortunately I know that now. But we go out there and tear it up. It's not going to regrow and heal itself, if you will, in time for the soccer goons to go out there and play their little foosball game, right? Oh, look, right there, $500K per event. And I know we could get stadiums a lot cheaper, right? But I don't know that necessarily soccer fields are the way to go, okay? I think we should be looking at, and I understand we've talked about it before, the college level equipment is not necessarily compatible with what the XFL uses for broadcasting.
Well, I think colleges. I think that question was going back to San Antonio, why we only had 4 games, whatever, and it was a lot of people were saying, well, why can't we use Alamo Stadium? Why can't we use this? They were talking about high school fields. High school fields don't have the like I said, the facilities
right
for a professional team,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's medical concessions, TV angles, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
College stadiums do. Most college stadiums do.
Right.
So I think finding a smaller college stadium is, if you don't want to spend $500,000 at Ford Field, there's a ton of freaking colleges
Mm-hmm.
in Michigan that they could use in other areas.
And then you rent out the Alamo Dome or the Dome of the Americas or Ford Field or whatever for your championship game, right? Now that could potentially work. And that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're getting into the end of May, beginning of June, when your championship game is going to happen, depending on when the season starts, right? But you've got a covered stadium that all teams can play in, and it's only going to be that one time, right? You're not paying $500,000, for 5 weeks for Ford Field. So that is a possibility. And then that also, you could still potentially have a team that has the home field advantage, but not have necessarily the full home field advantage, looking at some of the comments and everything. Yeah. But so there really are options out there. And so if the USFL, if the UFL is weighing options such as these, right? Because we can't be the ones who came up with this idea first.
Yeah.
Right?
No, of course not. Of course not.
If we did, we'd be billionaires and we wouldn't be on this talk show talking about billionaires, right? But if the UFL were actually doing this, like you had alluded to earlier, the perfect response would have been, guys, we understand how frustrating and upsetting this story can be. We're not confirming anything, but know that we are weighing options to try and find what's in the best interest of the league and the fans.
Yeah.
Which may include terminating some teams. and
Again,
relocate them.
everything's on the table.
Right.
We're still trying to figure it out. Hey,
Uh-huh.
cool. All right. You know what? Be honest. And that ultimately that's what I care about is be honest. Like
Yep.
don't say, oh no, nothing's happening over here, nothing's happening over here while we're doing, stuff over here. Like, hey, we're working on stuff, we're looking at stuff. I go back to the merger stuff, like they were collecting Seattle season tickets until the day freaking Seattle got cut from the UFL. And that's kind of a crappy way to do business, to be honest. And it's not fair to the fans. So
yeah. That's not a bad idea, right? And that still keeps some of that connection because Birmingham and Montgomery aren't that far apart that I know of. So you could still get some of the diehard fans from Birmingham and pick up new fans in Michigan, right? You scratch a new surface there. Houston, maybe invest some money in advertising, right? Try and bolster the fan base there. Get some of the old school fans that walked away.
As much as our friends probably hate to hear it, and I hate to say it, I think Houston, Memphis are lost causes. Honestly, I really do. I think they're. I don't think there's any coming back from them. I think you have to move those teams, and I hate saying it. I love Rig. I love the Predator couple, Boatsman, all those people. They're great. I hate saying that. They're not going to have a team to root for, but I just.
Well, you can't say that because you don't know. So
yeah, well, I mean, I just for whatever reason you want to, because they had the worst coaches in the league, because they had Memphis couldn't keep a coach, was going back and forth 4 times through a season, all kinds of stuff. I just don't feel like there's any turning around for those two markets. So
fans, Mike G says it right here, right? Keep an eye on AFN. They are working on a project. I know they do have something going on their Facebook page right now that is kind of engaging the fans and seeing where the fans would like to see teams at. And so if you want to go check that out, go to Facebook and look up Alternative Football Network, and you can see some of that stuff that they're posting out there. Okay, so with that being the case, National Arena League don't have anything to talk about. Okay,
isn't their season done?
Their season is done.
Yeah.
IFL, we are in the official
playoffs start this weekend.
Yes. So you've got the Jacksonville Sharks going against your Quad City Steamwheelers. The Tulsa Oilers are going to be playing.
They got a terrible name, but they can play the hell out of some ball.
Yeah, this year. But that's surprising because last year they weren't so good. So they definitely turned it on. Anyways, Tulsa Oilers, which was another team that wasn't necessarily so great, is going up against Green Bay Blizzard. Then you got the Vegas Nighthawks at the Bay Area Panthers, and then San Diego Strike Force against the Arizona Rattlers. Now, the Arizona Rattlers have been one of those teams. They've been around for a long time. They've been pretty competitive. So they may be the horse to bet on in this. But you never know. It's arena ball. Things can easily flip, back and forth. So you never really know until that final whistle. But there should be some great games to watch this weekend.
Who are you rooting for? Just in the playoffs for IFL? Obviously we don't have a stake in any team, but
no, I'm gonna hometown homer, right?
Green Bay.
I'm gonna go for the Green Bay Blizzard.
All right.
Just because the last couple of years that we've been covering TTF, we've seen Green Bay and they've struggled. So it's nice to see them kind of in the playoffs. Jacksonville Sharks is an old school team.
Yeah. So that's I'm gonna root for Jacksonville. Like old school Arena League team. A little bit for obviously our friend Brahma Babe, who just just lost her mom, and so kind of like homage to her and stuff like that. I'm gonna root for Jacksonville. So
Definitely. And UFL Isaac says Fisher Freight was one of the best teams towards the end, and he's not wrong. I mean, if you look at the stats, they really kind of turned it on towards the end. Who wasn't necessarily a good team?
the Gunslingers. Hey, you know what? They won their last game, so
They did.
good for them.
They finished out the season 5-11.
Hey, you know what? From where they started and all the losing the coach after game number 2, losing the quarterback, I think losing 2 quarterbacks, 5-11 is respectable. 3 quarterbacks, yeah, okay,
yeah. They lost the one quarterback in the offseason and then 2 quarterbacks during the season.
Oh, I meant during the season. I didn't. Oh, okay. I wasn't talking about like in off season. Yeah, during the season. So you know what, 5-11 is respectable for them. So you know what, good for them.
5-11 is okay considering the fact that
last year, you know what, it was still better than the Brahmas. So
that's true. And considering that San Antonio, just missed the playoffs last year, for them to fall from grace like this, you've got to expect some big changes coming for this next season, because I don't really think that God, I can't remember the name of the family that owns the Gunslingers, but
you mean the Racklers?
Yeah, the Racklers. They're not going to be content with participation trophy.
Oh,
these are football people. They want some wins. They want some real trophies. So expect to see a revamped and reinvigorated San Antonio Gunslingers next season.
I hope so.
Now, what you're not going to see probably is a reinvigorated and re-energized Corpus Christi Tritons. We don't, again, we try not to report on speculation or anything, but with as gloriously as they fell from grace, I have to expect that there may be some very big changes coming for that organization. Maybe up to and including.
I was saying probably not in the good way.
Yeah. So I hope and pray that they don't relocate that team, because I do know some fans that are down there that absolutely enjoy having that in their backyard. And, outside of that, there's the Corpus Christi Hooks baseball team. You don't really have much else going on in Corpus Christi. And for a town of about, 20, 30,000, this is good, cheap family entertainment.
Yeah.
So I do hope that they can kind of figure that out and keep that team around. But ultimately, it's up to the owners and it's up to the league, right? But if they do stick around, I would definitely encourage the fans down there to show up in force, regardless of how the team is doing, because if you don't show up, if those dollars don't show up, the team is going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. So outside of that, right, we don't really have much else going on. We know the IFA is the IFA. It's literally, I'm not going to use that. It's like watching a building that's holding on by that one support beam. It just will not fall down, but it's coming. It's going to come down.
Are they playing, or did they kind of wrap up for the year and was like, we're going to try again?
I think as of last week, I think they had one more game left to play. So they may have played that this last weekend. I don't know. But man, I'm going to be honest. I don't even know what teams are in the league anymore, because there have been so much upheaval and everything.
Okay, so I'm looking at the schedule right now. So Ohio Valley, they played 3 games. The last game was June 21st. They don't have anything scheduled. The Huntsville Astros, they joined the league, then decided, you know what, we're going to do our own thing. So they've got a Juarez team that they played a game March 31st and they have a game scheduled in August, and that was it. So, I mean, who knows what the hell was going on, but yeah.
Yeah. So, UFL Isaac, to answer your question, no, we didn't really talk about that. Just because there really isn't a Texas connection, so there's not really that much of an interest for us to look into it. And
I did see when they, like I said, they joined the league, played a game or two, and then was like, nah, we're gonna go out on our own. I thought that was funny, but
yeah. And I don't really even see much about this NXTFL. So I do see a North Texas Football League, which shouldn't be surprising because it is Texas, but that's youth football. So we're probably not going to talk about it at that level, because there's way too much. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of youth playing football here in Texas. One of the reasons why we say that, football is God here.
NXTFL, the next football league.
NXTFL.
They have a Facebook page. I'm assuming that's them, but I mean,
I'm trying to find it, but it's not. Okay. So there's definitely going to be some confusion. Let me point this out real quick. So the NXTFL, there's also an NXT level futsal, which is a form of soccer that you play on like a concrete floor, kind of. The ball's a little bit different. It's a little bit heavier. So you can't do like the crazy necessarily, high kicks and stuff, but you can still roll it and do some crazy stuff, right? But anyways, there's going to be, some potential confusion there. I don't know if there's a team. Oh, look, I'm sorry. XFL Mike G was sending us messages while we were talking earlier, and it's attendance numbers and everything, and kind of seeing where everybody landed and whatever. And SA still San Antonio still finished out third.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
that was with a crappy season. So, anyways, back on this NXTFL. Let me see if I can find it on Facebook. NXT, no.
I searched for NXTFL. You scroll down a little bit, and it took them to a Facebook page that had like a shirt from like 2017. So, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah. I wish him well.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, I don't really know what's going on here. So
all right, well, that's enough about that one then.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like they're trying to expand. There was a post about maybe St. Louis having a team in addition to the Battlehawks and whatever. So we'll do this, right? We'll do some research, try and find out what this NXT FL is all about. See what cities and teams are kind of going on and whatever, and maybe it might be something worth talking about, right? But it is worth talking about is that 2 days away, right?
That's right.
Two days away.
The season officially, the 2025/2026 NFL season officially starts.
Yep. So again, the question was posed at the top of the show. Who's your early round picks? Are you going for a running back or a wide receiver? Something to think about. I do think the general consensus is probably going towards getting a really strong running back because so many points could be scored off of them in multiple ways, right? They can score points on the ground with a good rush. They can score points, with a good, out route, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But however you draft is however you draft. right? I also when Aaron Rodgers was my favorite quarterback, I always took him first round, right? So what the hell do I know about fantasy football?
I mean, a lot of years that was a good pick. So,
Yeah. Yeah. This year I'd take him for the first round if it was the AARP Bowl or something. So anyways, all right, folks, that pretty much is going to wrap it up right there. UFL Isaac said, go Chargers. This guy over here, he says, go Cowboys. I, of course, go Pack Go. But it's an exciting time, right?
Right.
We've got things.
Let's get it on, man.
Right? I'm looking forward to the start of the NFL season, our college season, right? Go Roadrunners. You gig 'em Aggies or whatever they do. Saw them off, right? However you guys do that thing. This is the glory about being here in Texas, man. Football all year round. We always have something to talk about, and there's always something to look forward to the next week. So, with that in mind, BD, you got any closing thoughts?
No, and I don't even think I have a suck at this week. So, I'll give all the other teams a pass.
Okay. Very nice of you. Very kind. I'm still gonna say it. Suck it, NFC North. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Take care.